want to go there, go in there because it's really cool according to everyone. So, yeah. The ancient city of Chichen Itza in the Yucatan Peninsula is home to many Maya ruins in the region. It was founded around the 6th century AD by a couple of Mayas who were probably from the lowlands of Yucatan. For centuries, it was a wealthy and powerful city with its seaport enabling trading to far distances, with its name meaning at the edge of the well of enchanted water. It maintained its power for nearly a millennium, with its own cenote where they offered gifts to the gods. The city is made of limestone in an architectural way they call pu'uk. Around 1000 AD, it was dominated and conquered by other people. Sadly, its new habitants built many things of their own and will toss away the rest, even though this will play something important later on. This time in Toltec. The stones were pictures of serpents and skulls, and in an already giant temple, they built another huge pyramid, and as a cherry on top, a site to their serpent god, Kukulkan, which, by the way, was El Castillo. And then it was just all abandoned. By the 13th century, the habitant of this temple was now Mother Nature. In my opinion, just because of the beautiful story and structure, it deserved its UNESCO landmark. And yeah, you cannot come over here to Mexico and not look at this beautiful place. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The Colosseum is found in Rome, all the way in Italy. It is the largest amphitheater ever built. The construction for it began in 70 to 72 AD under the command of the emperor of that time, Vespasian, and was completed in 80 AD by his successor, Titus. It changed a bit in the Flavian dynasty though, so they call it the Flavian Amphitheater. It was around 50 meters high, like 156 meters wide, and was made of mostly concrete and a wooden floor covered by plenty of sand. A lot of columns were also added in to add even more detail to this beautiful building and at the same time strengthen its position. Also, by the way, it was also covered by a manual pilarium of sorts to shade spectators from the sun like a sort of reverse umbrella. The spectators' seats ran around like a circle. They were also determined by the importance of the people, where all the way at the back sat the most normal little pedestrians, and all the way in the front are the senators. Also, there's a little box over there at the top that was preserved for the emperor of that time. Well, if he had time to assist, obviously. By the way, under it is a series of tunnels made for animals and slaves, either lifts and trapdoors that could be released at any moment they wanted. And yet, it also does more. The arena hosted a lot of blood sports just for entertainment, whether it's a little manhunt of sorts, an execution, or the little personal favorite, which is the gladiator clash. Yeah, that's why they made a whole movie about it. But in the 6th century AD, when costs were too high and the public changed likes, it was used for a lot of things, like the house material, for example. But today, it's a symbol of Rome and one of the many UNESCO pieces of this planet. The stone city Machu Picchu is a world-renowned archaeological site in Peru around Cusco. It's a giant piece of evidence about the intellect of our previous, ancestors, the Incas. Machu Picchu is right in the center of what once was the Inca Empire, which ranged all the way from Ecuador to Chile. That is very long. The building is one of the very few pieces of evidence that isn't destroyed about the Inca civilization. It was built around the middle of the 15th century, and for basically the third time, it was an example of the intelligence of the Incas. Well, mostly the late Middle Age, but the Incas. The small city consisted of plazas, quarries, temples, and more, with only stones. It was located in the middle of two fault lines, so it is very, very impressive that it isn't torn apart. The mortar and design of the stones in Machu Picchu have made it stick together so that it doesn't fall. So no earthquake has been able to dethrone this beautiful piece. That is one of the amazing things about it, which is going to be served a very, very big purpose. It served multiple people and purposes, but in the early 16th century, it was just abandoned. And sadly, people don't know the true purpose of why it was built. Neither do I. After all, even the Spanish who invaded the Inca, according to my brain, they never came across the place. And so, UNESCO in 1983 pronounced Machu Picchu as one of the wonders of the modern world. The Great Wall began as multiple walls of rammed earth built by individual states in 771 to 476 BC. The Chungju period, I think, they built those little walls to protect themselves from all of the raiders. When Emperor King Shi Huang merged the states in 221 BCE, the Tibetan Plateau and the Pacific Ocean became natural barriers. But the mountains were available to all raiders. So, as a result, they expanded the wall, connecting and fortifying the walls. And after this whole process, it became known as the Long Wall. Yeah, the Long Wall. Anyways, to do this, they had to enlist a bunch of people, of all of the little pedestrians and everybody that were remembered from the Qin dynasty. Many were just hundreds of thousands of people that were serving sentences or that were just peasants. Yeah, the wall grew longer and longer as the labor continued. At this point, it can be called abuse. Legends even said that some laborers were buried in the walls to fortify it. But probably not, I hope. Sadly, in the Mongol invasion, Genghis and his son started trying to penetrate the wall. But in the Ming dynasty, the wall continued growing. They also put watchtowers in. When invaders came in or were caught, fire and smoke signals traveled around the wall as some little signs to everyone that there's an invader there. So they can either fight against them or flee. Fight or flee. That's quite the coincidence. Anyways, after all of that, after time passed, the wall just rotted up and stood there, just standing there menacingly. But during World War II, China managed to use the wall to protect themselves against the Japanese, which is actually very convenient. Thanks, Wong. But that now exists as a cultural landmark for all people. It was granted the UNESCO World Heritage status in 1987. And I'm pretty sure that no, the Great Wall cannot be seen from space. Point, case closed. All of these landmarks and sites are very, very special to Earth's entire history, to all of our society, our human civilization. So I hope you learned or liked something about this video, or the part 1, of course, while you were watching. Have a good day and goodbye.